Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Canadian Shield, your trusted source of analysis. My name is Sterling. I'm your host. Jagmeet Singh and the NDP wrapped up their retreat in Montreal today, and he was talking, of course, to the press. He came out. And I should imagine that with Monday coming, they're probably going to be pretty quiet all weekend. Maybe I'm incorrect on that. I would say that some of the subjects that Jagmeet Singh touched upon didn't seem to be supported by any of the behavior or any of the actions. He made a lot of unfounded claims as far as I could tell. We'll get into that. But before I do, I would encourage you to like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell, share this channel with all of your socials. I am up against a ton of censorship, and any help that you're willing to give me, I appreciate. Anything that will assist the channel in growing, like the thumbs up, convincing the algorithm that other people might like to see it in their feed. Right off the bat, I want to talk about the banner that's standing behind Jagmeet Singh that has his name written over and over, and the party logo written over and over. It makes me think of those countries where they have the 30-foot posters up on the wall, or, you know, the gigantic parade banners as they walk down the street. I don't know that that's kind of the dignity or the lack thereof that Canadian politicians should be looking at. I understand that you want to have your logo out, and I understand that, you know, your party color is orange. I think that to have your name written on it, and only your name written on it, speaks to a level of ego or narcissism, if you wish the word, that is not necessarily any different than some other politicians that I could think of. However, it's going to fill your screen, so there's not much I can do about it. While Jagmeet was in fine form today, he made an announcement about his position on the carbon tax. And of course, everything that he said was always somebody else's fault. And he toned out the complete fact that he supported all of these policies for years. And then he tried to say, well, so-and-so voted again. And it's like, you know what? You voted in support of the carbon tax 26 times or something to that effect in the last 2 years alone. Anyway, we'll get into that. Let's just listen to this opening statement. I would say, though, the one thing that surprises me is the press doesn't seem to be coming after. Like, when you listen to a Liberal press conference, they don't talk over one another. When you listen to a Conservative press conference, they are 15 voices talking all at once. And the NDP, now that they've broken their supply and confidence, doesn't really get any feedback from the press. So what is that? That's kind of suspicious, no? Shouldn't they also now be open to the same fair game as the Conservatives? Also, I don't know about the tendency in this last little cycle, but everywhere I go, the press questions are not being heard only by the guy in the room. They're not being picked up by the microphone. I don't know if that's intentional so that you and I can't hear just how far off the question the answer is. But I would think that a media outfit would have the ability to pick up both the question and the answer.
Well, the price cap idea is something that Ms. Weber is an economist, well-established, who came out with this idea in the first place. It's basically taking on corporate greed in a direct way. We know that when people go to the grocery stores, they are feeling squeezed. We also know these corporate grocery stores have their own in-house brands, and they set prices all the time. They bragged about freezing prices. They can absolutely set prices. And so we're saying, instead of asking them nicely and hoping that they're going to bring down prices, as the Liberals tried to do, as Justin Trudeau tried to do, he brought the CEOs and said, please, can you stabilize prices? That didn't work. We had his minister, Justin Trudeau's minister, come out and I don't understand how he could have said this with a straight face, but told Canadians they should do a better job of looking at grocery flyers as a way to lower prices for groceries, which was ridiculous and frankly insulting as well. And we're saying, no, none of that's going to work. What we need to do is impose a price cap. We can look at France as an example. They were able to lower the price of 5,000 essential food items, and our price cap would be the following. We look at essential food items, impose a price cap that you cannot charge more than a reasonable amount on these food essentials. That would immediately give Canadians relief when it comes to their groceries.
Well, I think that one of the immediate price caps we could give would be the carbon tax. I think knocking the extra tax off the farmer, off the manufacturer of the food would be a great way to ensure that the prices are brought down. Now you say, oh, they all have individual brand names in their stores. That doesn't mean that they own the factory. That just means they bought some labels and the factory ran some through for them. That's all that means. The reason that the whole no frills, no name store started was so that we could get around paying the copyrights to the large corporations. Now it's one of the biggest corporations. It's got Jagmeet Singh always out in front of his door. I mean, no frills, independent, the drugs like Loblaws. It's just a big outfit. However, to say to yourself that the food product that is going into one can and going into another can is all of a sudden going to be manufactured in two different buildings is not very concise. It shows a profound lack of comprehension of the statements that you're making. Food price caps are not a smart idea because there are plenty of countries in this world that manufacture food that comes to Canada that they are using basically slave labor. Housing caps, now that's something that we need to be talking about. The cost of lumber capping, that's a good idea. The cost of gas capping, there would get some relief. These would all bring relief, instantaneous relief to Canadians. The big announcement from this particular press conference is that Jagmeet Singh has all of a sudden, just like that, decided that he's going to change his position on the carbon tax, despite having supported it from Justin Trudeau over 20 times. I think it's like 26 times in the course of the supply and confidence agreement alone. Now he wants everyone to think that he's had a change of heart, just like he's had a change of heart with this agreement, but he won't come out and say that. He won't come out into any commitments. It's just the same thing, that he's saying these things because he's worried that he can't get the blue collar vote. He's now going to try to throw shade on Pierre Poilievre, saying that Pierre Poilievre wants companies to basically just dump all of their garbage right in the river. I mean, it's really quite lame.
Well, let's also be clear about Pierre Poilievre's position. He wants to have free reign for big polluters to pollute as much as they want. His plan is to say there should be no penalty if a company pollutes into the river or into the water or into the air in their communities. So that's his plan. He wants big polluters to do whatever they want. No rules for them. We're saying that they should be paying their fair share. A company that pollutes and poisons the environment, there should be a price on that. There should be a cost to that. They shouldn't be able to get away with poisoning our air or water or land without any penalty at all. That's what Pierre Poilievre is proposing. When it comes to workers, though, we disagree with the approach of Justin Trudeau, who's tried to pit workers against each other. He set up a scenario where in certain regions, based on electoral politics, he's giving advantages to the Atlantic provinces over other parts of the country. We disagree with that. I've came out very strongly opposed to that approach. We want to see an approach to fighting the climate crisis where it doesn't put the burden on the backs of working people, where big polluters have to pay their fair share, they have to pay the price of their pollution, but it shouldn't be on working people's shoulders. And so we've been working on a plan, and we'll be releasing our plan, our vision for how we can do that in a stronger way in the coming months.
Will the plan include a consumer carbon tax?
Well, we'll let you know when the plan is ready, and we'll let you know more details about it.
Let me start by saying what a load of malarkey that was. He really believed, in one sentence, he says, no, it's okay that if they pollute, as long as they pay money. That makes... What kind of logic is that? And I can't even tell you how many times I've heard that man stand up and say the Conservatives have no plan for the environment. And he literally wrapped up the answer to that question by saying that we don't have a plan. We'll let you know when it's ready. He literally said that. All he knows is that he hopes that he'll say these words and everybody, all the blue collar people will take their vote away from Pierre Poilievre and give it to this guy. This inconsistent, voted to support the Liberal government for years, has brought crushing problems to our housing market, crushing problems to the overpopulation of our cities, has permitted millions of people to be brought into this country that don't have jobs or places to live. And he says that it's okay that the big polluters pollute as long as they pay, which is ridiculous. Then he says that Pierre Poilievre is going to just let them do that, which is also ridiculous. I've never heard Pierre Poilievre say that at all, as a matter of fact. The idea that we're going to fix the problem by letting Jagmeet, a person who is an architect of these problems, is kind of ridiculous in my mind. Like that we're going to let him solve these problems that he built, that he assisted with. But I don't think that this kind of stuff occurs. I think that he's just so completely able to tune out all of his own behavior and just pretend like the reality is not what it actually is. Now, if all of that wasn't bad enough, you're going to hear some real foolishness. He's going to talk about misinformation and about foreign interference. The one guy who can support the Liberal government while they do all of these things that he's talking about. Now, I'm tired of hearing the word misinformation. People are going to believe what they want to believe, and people are going to not believe what they're not going to believe. We still have many of examples of where that contradiction happens all the time. I think that to say, oh, no, you have to silence what you can say because somebody might believe you is the wrong way to look at it. If they want to believe what they're going to believe, let them. I think that being able to check the information to be able, like, I mean, I don't believe that Pierre Poilievre was telling big polluters they can throw stuff in the water. So does that mean Jagmeet Singh just made misinformation? I'm sure he would have a different approach to it. As for the foreign interference, I don't even want to tell you how upset that makes me. And I think that there needs to be laws passed about that kind of stuff, because in my mind, those minimum 11 members that are of the Conservative Party that are actively pursuing the ends of foreign governments, all the while they say, oh, look at all the foreign investment that we have, are treason. It's treason. They need to be charged with treason and convicted of treason.
I think this is something we have to take very seriously. And we've known in general of the real threat of misinformation, but specifically foreign interference in Canada. There's been numerous examples of it. We've fought and forced the government to bring in place a public inquiry on this because it's very serious. We take it seriously. To remind folks, the Conservatives initially wanted it to be a political game in committee. And we said this is not about brinksmanship. This is not about fighting political and scoring political points. This is about ensuring that our democracy is protected. That's been our position on this, and it remains our position. We believe that foreign interference is so serious that it should be taken with that same level of seriousness, and we need to see a real thorough investigation by the public inquiry. We want to hear those recommendations, and we want to see those recommendations, actions taken on them to ensure that we protect our democracy from foreign interference, whether it's directly getting involved in the political process or whether it's misinformation. I think it's an important additional concern that Canadians should have, that we don't want foreign governments purposely spreading misinformation, as a way to skew the outcome of our electoral politics. Like, that's also deeply troubling. And that's something that we should continue to look into, and then we should also be very quick to implement the changes that are recommended.
I can't tell you how many times I want to scream my head off when I hear a politician talk to me about misinformation, when I hear a man who's a lawyer talk to me about misinformation. I'm not going to accept any position from a politician on misinformation. I don't think that a person who is allowing 11 foreign agents to actively, I mean, think of the idea that came out, nobody did anything about it. Now, they're probably up to 22 by now. I mean, how many other people are going to say, well, if they're not getting in trouble, why don't I go ahead and do it? A public inquiry, they want a brinksmanship. That's because Canadians want answers. They want those names. They want those people put on trial. That's why, MP Singh. Because the one thing that you all on the left don't seem to understand is that we don't want you to preach to us. We don't want you to tell us how you think you know everything better than we do. And the Conservatives understand that. They say, well, what is it that you're looking for? Okay, let's see what we can do to make that happen. What can we do to make your life better? Because unfortunately for you, Mr. Singh, you keep telling yourself that you know better than the rest of us. And that's why your numbers are no good. It was fine. And then you started to try and destroy the middle class. And now those people who for years didn't pay attention as long as the kids were good and everything was happy are angry. They're mad. They're mad because you've been steering this country into the tank, into the toilet for so long. You want to stand up there with your name blazing behind you on the screen and say, oh, look, I'm a changed man. I'm a new person. All right, well, if that's the case, then let's call an election right now. Let's get those 11 names out from under the security tab. Let's get those people arrested and put in front of a court. I mean, I get that they'll get bail, but I still believe that they should be arrested and charged and convicted in all likelihood. I mean, we already know the answer to the fact that they'll be convicted because we have the proof. You yourself have seen it, MP Singh. Anyway, I'm going to wrap here. I want to thank you all for listening. I'll talk to you next time.